Louise? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Now, and Lou, did you know how to work this fellow? Yeah, cool. Whoops. Hi everyone, welcome back to the room, and we'll settle in fairly quickly because we're already 1 minute late. So I'm welcoming to the stage this afternoon another fabulous speaker. Louise Burch has come from Victoria and works with DAF. And she's presenting on the Future Drought Fund, FDF as we tend to call it, isn't it? So the FDF represents a unique long-term investment in building resilience before drought strikes. It's very important, we know that. Louise will share case studies from projects around the country showing how landscape scale practices, technologies and partnerships are improving drought readiness. Her session will highlight collaboration, extension and adoption and how that's helping producers. So thank you everyone and welcome Louise. Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction, Angela. As Angela said, my name's Louise Burch and I work for the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry. Firstly, I'd like to pay my respects to the Yagamba people, including elders past and present, whose country lies in the Gold Coast area, as the traditional custodians and recognise their continuing connection to country. As Angela said, I'm here today to talk to you about the Future Drought Fund, which was set up in 2019 in response to devastating drought over multiple years in New South Wales and Queensland. The aims of the FDF is to build drought and climate resilience. But firstly, I wanted to say thank you to Landcare Australia for putting on this fantastic conference and showcasing so many interesting topics, projects and initiatives underway across the country. It's truly inspiring and I'm grateful to be part of it. Before I get started, I just wanted to pop in a little bit about my background with Landcare. I was introduced to Landcare before Landcare was a thing, back in the 1970s, so I'm really showing my age now. My father was a sheep farmer in southwest Victoria on the Western Plains, which are mostly devoid of trees. Dad was an avid tree planter. He revegetated our entire farm, planting thousands of trees on his own before it was a popular thing to do. And the trees provided shelter for livestock and increased the biodiversity, so it was a really fabulous thing for our farm. Dad was part of an early group of farmers that connected over this passion that eventually became what we know as Landcare groups today. So as a child, I was taken on the tree planting journey with Dad. Whenever he was trialling new varieties, he got me to plant them out into the garden, and then we would watch them grow and decide whether they were suitable to be put out into a plantation and they would survive. It was pretty tough out there. It was hard packed clay, and very windy. So these experiences have stayed with me to this day, and in reflection, really hit home how important it is to engage children in tree planting and understanding their importance in the ecosystem so they can develop a lifelong relationship to care for and protect our country, which has been a bit of a feature today with those amazing presentations just before lunch. Anyway, now back to the Future Drought Fund. The Future Drought Fund offers a unique pathway for sustainable agriculture by building drought and climate resilience. We know that drought is inevitable. It's not a matter of if, but when. The FDF aims to grow the productivity and self-reliance of the agricultural sector, improve the function of agricultural landscapes through effective management of the natural resource base, and strengthen the social capital, wellbeing and connectedness of agricultural communities. So I've got a small short video that just talks about the FDF.
Ever since I left school, Australia's been talking about drought or in major drought. It's always going to happen, so as long as we can prepare for the next one,
The Future Drought Fund has been pivotal in enabling collaboration across research, development, extension, commercialisation and adoption.
Part of our role is to be able to share the learnings, getting their fingers in the dirt and seeing the difference that it's making out in the paddock.
It's all about putting in place foundations for farmers and communities to draw upon when the next drought hits, so they can better manage through it.
And that's why this program I'm so excited about, and the funding from the federal government, because it's actually doing the preparation work, tackling it when we've got a chance to think about it rather than actually under the pressure of trying to respond.
The Future Drought Fund is actually really fundamentally important to the future of our Australian regional communities.
One of the beauties of the Future Drought Fund is it has that long-term intention.
We're really factoring in the fact that drought happens and that we're just saying, okay, well, let's just make the landscape more resilient to that drought. And that means pastoralists are more resilient and they can continue to operate and make the right decisions.
So it's about showing people that, hey, this can really happen if you just make the change.
Okay, so the next slide. The Australian Government's approach to drought is guided by the National Drought Agreement. States and territories administer and coordinate drought policies and programs in their jurisdiction. The Australian Government's drought programs are always available rather than being triggered by declarations or stood up when conditions are dry. Programs seek to enable preparedness, risk management and financial self-reliance. Through programs such as the Farm Household Allowance, the Farm Management Deposit Scheme, the Regional Investment Corporation loans and the Rural Financial Counselling Service, these programs are always available. The Future Drought Fund is a $5 billion commitment invested in the fund. This provides $100 million each year into grants and other programs with a focus on preparedness. We are now delivering the 2024 to 2028 funding plan. This is a legislative instrument to guide funding decisions. It's a principles-based framework. It contains mandatory requirements for all FDF spending. It's renewed every 4 years through a process that involves the Productivity Commission inquiry and extensive stakeholder consultation. As a result of the Productivity Commission review and consultations, the 2024-2025 budget has committed $519 million over 8 years to deliver drought and climate resilience programs. This includes longer-term funding and enduring outcomes, fewer, more high-impact programs, enhanced alignment and integration of activities, more place-based collaboration, more knowledge sharing and monitoring, evaluation and learning. From 2024-2025, we're delivering 10 programs that fall under 4 themes. There's partnering for local solutions, building knowledge, skills and capability, innovating for transformation, and partnering for First Nations initiatives. So 2 programs have just commenced activities this year. They're the first 2 to be rolled out in the new funding plan, and that's the Resilient Landscapes program and the Long-Term Trials Round 2 program. And that's a total of $80 million in programs. There are 2 programs that are currently open for applications, and that's the Strengthening Drought Resilience on Country program and the Innovation Challenges pilot. And if you want to find out more about those 2 programs, come out to the stand. We have the Strengthening Drought Resilience on Country team here today. So that's Mel, Amanda and Kelly. And we can also talk to you about the Innovation Challenges pilot. And if you want to find out more, there's also information on the DAF website. So where does the FDF fit in the landscape of other government programs? This diagram shows alignment between the FDF and 2 areas. the Agriculture and Land Sectoral Plan, which is about lowering farm emissions, and the Natural Heritage Trust, which includes the Climate Smart Land Management programs. The cross-section of these three programs aims to build a climate resilient, sustainable and low emissions future. Our Minister, Julie Collins, discussed these programs this morning and went into a bit more depth than that, but I won't go further into that today. There is more information available on the DAF stand about those other programs. So what I wanted to have a look at today is to recap on a program that was funded under the first round of the FDF funding plan, and it has concluded in 2025. This is called the Drought Resilient Soils and Landscapes Program. This was an investment of $23 million into 26 projects across Australia. The projects demonstrated drought-resilient land management practices at a landscape scale to help farmers prepare for and recover quicker from drought. The program supported groups including farmers, NRM bodies, drought hubs, farming systems groups, First Nations and landcare groups. The case studies of these projects will be made available on the DAF website this year, and I want to show you an example of one of these projects in the video link just coming up. So we'll see if this goes.
Obviously, the Future Drought Fund is a huge investment in agriculture in Australia, and the thing that we're most excited about is the focus on preparedness, because we all know the next drought is just around the corner. We've got some of the most innovative farmers in the world in Australia, and being able to get them to try out all of the things that they want to work on is really exciting.
We're here at Lake Pleasant. We're in the Callide Valley area, just Rockhampton side of Biloela.
It's quite volatile here, so we tend to get a lot of rain and then really big spells that are dry.
When we first come here, a shower of rain or a storm would end up down the creek, not staying in our paddocks. We had to irrigate for short periods of time because otherwise the water would run out of the paddock.
It's getting drier and we're getting much more unpredictable weather. So how do we survive in here with Grow Original? I'm like, we just got to catch it, right? Like, build big dams and catch it and irrigate. The more I've learned and the more I've gotten, I'm like, well, it's not about catching it. It's instead of creating all this energy and wasting all of this effort where you then get transpiration, you lose so much of it, how do you actually get nature to work with you and get nature to hold on to it for us? One variable we wanted to look at was monoculture versus multi-species. Another one was compost versus no compost. Another one was worm juice, and then also the synthetics. To make it practical and large scale, so it's not like some sort of tiny test plot. So it's literally 40 acres that we ended up carving out and putting aside for the trial.
For the Future Drought funding, they've made it very doable in a short amount of time. The differences you see over the 96 plot is unbelievable. The soil is like chocolate cake. You also notice when we do apply the worm juice on our looser paddock that we do get quite a bit more yield. So sometimes up to 25%. We can go over to the paddock that have had that bioferts applied, and the soil in there is amazing. It's fluffy, the roots are holding it, there's fungi on our roots. Our soil over there has got life in it. We've created this home for the right insects, the right grubs, the right bugs.
In terms of preparing for drought, there's probably 3 key takeaways. One is that you want to create that soil sponge so it all sort of sits in there and stays green for longer. And what we noticed is that multi-species stays green for longer. The other thing is because the organic carbon increased in the multi-species, we saw that the water efficiency was better. The other one is the runoff. So you don't see the same amount of runoff and it actually sort of absorbs into the soil. So yeah, whatever rain falls, we end up catching it. I like the fact that it was so clear cut. Multi-species, invest more in your soil, better water retention, better profitability. We know that we're making a difference because we're not watering as often. And if we're not watering as often, A, it doesn't cost as much money to water, B, we know that we're going to have enough water, we can actually make it from one rainfall to the next.
It's about showing people that, hey, this can really happen if you just make the change.
So part of our role at FBA through the Drought Hub and supported by the Future Drought Fund is to be able to share the learnings and actually getting people boots on the ground, getting their fingers in the dirt and seeing the difference that it's making out in the paddock. The energy that's created around the field days and the open days and sharing the learning is really important. What we like to do is connect people and really make that community of practitioners that are trying to shape the way that farming is done in Australia in the future.
Thanks for that applause. It was, really positive program, and there's plenty more like that I can't show now. But if you have a look on the DAF website, and into the future, we will be putting all those case studies up. It's definitely worth a look. Another program that I wanted to mention, which is also concluded in 2025 from the first funding plan, is a program called the Extension and Adoption Program. And this program saw 18 grantees across the country receive $13 million in grant funding on driving adoption of proven drought resilience farming practices by partnering with farming extension organisations and farmers to drive greater utilisation of existing R&D. So progress is showcased through case studies of successful and impactful projects and sharing them. So this program, along with the previous one I showed you, the Drought Resilient Soils and Landscapes program, will be evaluated in 2025-26. So we'll be able to see the impact of those programs in a more scientific way. So I'd like to show you one of the case studies from this program as well. It only goes for 3 minutes.
The Community of Practice project is a structured learning program based around our key education program, which is a 2 or 3 day boot camp. That's followed by a mentoring program, which we spend one-on-one time with the landholders, and then here today for a boots on ground day, which is the end process where they all come back together and look at some works actually happening on the ground.
When we bought this property, we were actually quite depleted in natural infrastructures. We had no trees on these paddocks, we had no native species as such, it was very overgrown with weeds. We found that we had a spring head essentially on our property that was only running for 2 to 3 months of the year, and then it filtered down into a eroded gully. Through research, we figured that if we could regenerate the spring and keep the water underground for longer, it would self-perpetuate. Now the eroded gully is a fully functioning creek system that runs for almost 12 months of the year. The water is retained in the floodplains alongside the creek, keeping our place greener longer and obviously our cattle fatter for longer. We were very fortunate about 5 years ago to be selected as a property to host one of the first on-farm visits from Mulloon to the Northern Territory through TNRM. And from there we've just maintained a really great relationship with them, being involved in other practice days and hosting events here. And so when the communities of practice came up, jumped on board immediately, and it's just been fantastic.
What makes this site important? The educational aspect. People can come and see this, and Fiona's got photos from earlier on before any works were done here, and just to compare and see what it looks like now.
This course has been particularly relevant because it's local. For me to come here today and learn practices in the local area relevant to local production methods, local habitats, local rainfall events, local climate, it just makes it so much more applicable. It's something we can directly implement without having to fill in the gap.
The reason why landscape rehydration is important to landholders is because if you're healing the country and rebuilding the natural function of the country, that's building its resilience, which means you can manage through droughts and dry times a lot easier than you would otherwise. You're getting greater productivity.
If what I can do here can be adopted on scale, and the techniques that we're using here are absolutely able to be used anywhere in Australia or the world, so that we can keep more water on any land at all, whether it's 20 acres in Darwin or it's 200,000 on the Barkly. Being able to lengthen your wet season, however short it might be, wherever you are, has huge profit impacts at the end of the day, and is an amazing thing to be able to control to negate the effects of climate change.
So we encourage you to engage with the FDF if you haven't already. There are opportunities for funding available, and we encourage you to register with the Community Grants Hub to be notified of future grant opportunities. Jump on the DAF website also for more information. I just wanted to also mention a few hints on preparing grants applications. Firstly, don't be disheartened if your project doesn't get up. I know we all know how much effort goes into grant applications, and it can be really disappointing if you think you had an amazing project and it didn't get up. The grant rounds are highly competitive, and we suggest you really seek feedback on your application for next time. We also suggest that you read the grant opportunity guidelines very closely, understand the key requirements of the grant and address them. I know they're not always easy to understand, but we hope you just really take the time to digest what is in there and what you need to address. Many times you're required to form partnerships in your project and look at the expertise that you need to bring in to deliver a strong project. Other things you can do are look at previously funded projects to get an idea of the types of projects that were successful, and also look at where there could be gaps that you could slot into. We wish we could fund all of your projects, but know that it's not possible. But remember, you have to be in it to have a shot. So thanks for listening today, and yeah, happy to take any questions.
A hand at the back. There is a... Has James got the microphone? James has got it. Righto. Where is the microphone? I think I've lost my wingman.
Oh, hold on, here it is.
Hi, I'm Margie Milgate here. Thanks very much for that presentation. I just want to know, it's really interesting that you've got the Productivity Commission coming in to assess the projects. What does that look like? How does that sort of quite happen, if you know what I mean?
They don't particularly look at the projects, but they look at the way the FDF has been delivering the programs. And it's something that I haven't directly been involved with, but I have seen the feedback come back, and you know, we need to take that on board for the next funding plan, which was, those findings were incorporated into the current funding plan, and they will for every future funding plan as part of the review and the improvement of those of the delivery of the yeah, yep.
And I also wanted to thank you for the tips, I guess, that you gave in terms of the funding application.
Oh.
And the green light, just
Sorry. Oh. Sorry. Thank you for the tips and advice there. In the spirit of listening to each other, I'd also like to offer some tips back to you.
For sure. We love tips, please.
And I think this has been fed back to the Future Drought Fund in particular, but we are in a competitive space with this funding, and especially for community groups, there is a lot of hours that go into preparing for applications and doing this work to get there. And I think that is increasing rather than decreasing. And whether or not there could be whether you could look at a tiered system of a two-stage process to try and help groups go through a process of veto, but also look at where there could be areas of collaboration with other applications as well to strengthen them. So it's not a question, it's a comment and some feedback.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's really good. Yeah.
Thank you. And Wilbur, can you go and see Stephen, please? Thank you. Okay. Has anyone got any more questions for Louise? Oh, lots of questions, Louise. Okay. I'll go with this lady first. Alison. Question, and I'll bring it over to you.
Hi, I'm kind of following Sarah's lead here. We've participated in a lot of Future Drought Fund applications. Some of them have been successful, some of them haven't, and it's never associated with the idea or the value of it. So I totally agree with the comment, don't be disheartened. I'd just like to offer some advice to Landcare groups in the room. Don't devalue yourself through this process. All the applications require on-ground groups to deliver. And I've seen it time and time again where we try and screw down, or other groups try to screw us down in collaborations in terms of how much of the pie we get, so to speak. And you need to make sure you value your time appropriately in these and make sure that you get your fair share of the pie, because they need you as much as you need them. So just look after yourselves first in this process.
Thanks
and
for
if you've got comments, please.
Yes.
Liz.
Yeah.
Great advice. Thanks, Alison. She's one of our very smart people in the Landcare Network. So we've got time for just one more question. Okay. I'm not even going to say anything about height challenge people. I'll pass this down.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vicky from Fitzroy Basin Association. You just saw us up on the screen there. Yeah. It was a great project, by the way. I just want to ask a question. I had a rumour that the long-term trials now have gone in round 2 from 5 to 2 years. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. No, it's still a 6-year program. Well, and possibly run over 5 years, but it hasn't reduced in time frame.
I got rung up because we had a partnership with CQU for a land rehydration project, and it was a 5-year program, and we're going to resubmit this time around. But apparently the timeline's shorter than the first round. Yeah.
Oh, there might be a different program.
Okay, so it is. Okay, righto.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Scaling is now, it's 2.
That's
long term is 5.
Yes.
Still.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
And time to change over, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Can I just say too, in agriculture, I don't know how many of us know Cam, someone called Cam in this room, but I noticed on that video, 2 of the smartest blokes I know in agriculture were on that. There was Cam Leckie, he's very generous with his time and the banal questions I ask him, and then Cam Nicholson, same video. Smart fellows, we're lucky to have people like that to work with. You don't know what to say, Cam, do you?
shooting myself, but anyway, we made a good job. We did a good job. Thanks.